actually had some trouble with this one. So we'll see if
Wow. And good.
So we can communicate up to about 300 meters, 360 degrees. So capability-wise, it's pretty incredible technology. This next scenario, we're going to demonstrate the difference in some of the resolution of the system. We want to warn a driver when there's a vehicle stopped in our lane. We don't want to warn that driver if there's a vehicle stopped on the shoulder, changing a tire, the car's broken down for whatever reason. So we're going to drive by this Fiesta up there. We shouldn't get any warning at all. Good resolution from the GPS system. This next scenario is a scenario where we'll have a vehicle now stopped in our lane far down the road. That blue Fiesta is going to go up there and stop. We're going to accelerate. We'll get a warning that there's a vehicle stopped in our lane. At the last minute, this black Fiesta is going to pull out of the way. Normally, we would either had to follow them around the stopped vehicle or made a panic stop and hopefully not hit the blue Fiesta. But long before that'll occur, we'll get that audio and that visual warning that there's a vehicle stopped in our lane.
And 3, 2, 1. And good.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, it's pretty incredible technology. This next scenario, imagine you're on a freeway, you're clipping along at 70 miles an hour, and you come up on a vehicle that's doing 45, the minimum speed limit. If you're not paying attention, that's a common accident, a rear end accident on the freeway. Folks not paying attention. But with this warning system, we'll get a warning that we're catching up and gonna potentially collide with the vehicle, the slow moving vehicle. Again, we'll get the audio and that visual warning.
And 3, 2, 1. And good.
It'll go off all the time the way I drive.
Now,
No, really, what do you do about commuter traffic where it perhaps happens a lot?
Sure. So we've got other technology that we're working on. It's more radar based, but we call it active city stop. So if it's stop and go traffic, you can actually set it up to follow along with traffic. As long as traffic stays below a certain speed, it's going to follow the car ahead of you. Still working out the bugs with some of that, right? If a car changes lanes, turns, what happens? And so we're still working on that, but yeah, we're working on technology that'll work in stop and go traffic.
Yeah, I test drove somebody's vehicle a couple of weeks ago. I can't remember whose it was, and it has one of those backup warning
Yep.
alarms when you're fixing to hit something.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, while we were test driving, of course it's a new car. I'm a little cautious. Some guy behind me apparently is impatient though, but the backup warning's going off because he's tailgating.
Oh. What in the world?
So apparently it stays on all the time, not just when you're backing. So.
Well, that's interesting. Hopefully that wasn't a Ford.
does he warn the person behind him that it's...
Yeah, stop tailgating me. But there's, that's part of why we're still in the research phase, right? There are certain speeds where we'll cut this whole system off. If you're below 10 miles an hour, do you really need this collision? Maybe not. So that's where we're running through a customer clinic, 6-city customer clinic now, collecting customer data. What's the right kind of information? What do they want to see and hear? Do they want to see the whole windshield light up or just a couple rows of lights? What's the audio, the right audio warning? Do we want haptic seats or haptic steering wheel or haptic pedals, giving them a warning? We're also checking with the system in different altitudes, different weather conditions, things like that, just trying to collect as much data as we can. So we're still in the research phase, but you can definitely see the promise of this technology longer term. This next scenario is the blind spot warning scenario. So we've got radar-based systems, and actually in this vehicle, we'll see an amber light once we get up to speed, and there's a vehicle in our blind spot. But imagine a scenario where you maybe have a fast-moving car in that right lane going 90, 100 miles an hour, and you want to get in that right lane. With this Wi-Fi system, with the short-range communication, we're able to communicate vehicle to vehicle and warn not to get in that lane because there's a fast-moving vehicle.
And 3, 2, 1.
So you can see the radar-based system, we've got the amber light in the side view mirror, and then when Bob hits the signal, as soon as he hits that turn signal, we get the warning, the audio and visual will come out to check.
Good.
So this next scenario is a do not pass scenario. Imagine you're out on a 2-lane country road, you're trying to get past a tractor, a slow-moving tractor in your lane. What you don't know is that there's a vehicle in your oncoming lane over the hill. But with this communication, we're able to communicate with that oncoming Fiesta, and we'll get the warning as soon as we try to pass, to do not pass.
And 3, 2, 1. And good.
It's one of the more serious accidents that can happen out on the field.
Is that radar based?
No, that was all what.
That was all Wi-Fi,
Yeah,
basically.
Wi-Fi.
So it'll
GPS.
bend over
Yes.
a hill to a certain
Yeah.
extent.
And a round truck. So we're going to simulate maybe a blind intersection where you can't see around it, tall bushes on the corner, or you have a truck and you're trying to. Normally, you kind of creep up for a little bit, kind of look both ways, keep creeping up through the intersection. With this system, we're able to communicate around the truck and we'll get the warning that there's a vehicle coming. Don't go through the intersection.
And 3, 2, 1.
Wow.
And good.
And this last scenario we'll run through is a scenario, say, we've got a green light, we're able to cruise right through the intersection. Let's say Nate's not paying attention. He's going to have a red light, but he's not paying attention. He's fiddling with the radio. He's impaired. He's going to go right through the red light. We're going to get that warning, don't go through the intersection. There's a car coming that, and it's doing the math, looking at GPS coordinates, direction, speed, saying, well, these two vehicles, if they keep going, they're going to occupy the same place at the same time in the future. And we'll get a warning to not proceed.
And 3, 2, 1. And good.
So again, way before you would see them normally in the field, there's a lot of opportunity with this technology from a safety perspective. Again, there's say about 5 million accidents on the road every year. We think we can use this technology to address about 80% of those
So
accidents.
are the other vehicles being fairly passive or just